What are some of the trends you're seeing in the software evaluation and software selection work that you're working with our various teams on over the years? When they're evaluating any sort of ERP system, how do you see D365 trending? Do you see more or less clients that are evaluating it, or more or less clients that are ultimately selecting it, or what sort of pattern or trend are you seeing in terms of customers that are actually choosing to go with D365?
Yeah, let me just think. Over the last 4 years, D365 has either been, and the way we typically do this, we'll have a long list of vendors, and then we'll get it down to a short list for demos. And probably in 80% of my short list for demos, Microsoft is making the short list, either as an F&O version of the software or a Business Central. They're making the short list. So that speaks volumes. And we go through a fairly extensive process to go through the RFI process and to narrow it down to a short list of vendors who are going to demo. So that says a lot about their capabilities, that they're making it to the short list quite a bit.
Why is that? Is it purely functional capabilities, or is it some of the other stuff you were talking about
I think it's all of the above. I think it's functionality. I think it's industry. It could be that I'm just happen to be working in industries where it's a good fit. I think another area that helps with Microsoft is when you look at the technology stack. When I'm talking about the vertical stack, application, data, and infrastructure. I think folks value that I've got integration at the technology stack level, right? So now I can go to Microsoft and Microsoft alone when I'm having issues, or if I'm thinking about integration, I know that I've got a tight integration with the application, data, and environment or infrastructure level. Especially the clients that may have a longer migration path. I had a client 2 years ago that had over 80 business units with 80 flavors of software implementations. And you could see they actually had it was Microsoft and another large ERP vendor, and they were trying to make a selection. They actually brought ThirdStage in to help them with the final selection. And it ultimately came down to the decision, given that the functionality was quite close. It was a close, we're talking about a gnat's eye when it comes to the differences in the software. But what made the differences is once we started to look at the migration path and that this is going to be a journey and not a 1 or 2 phase implementation, but more like maybe a 10, 8, 9, 10 step migration over a long period of time. All of a sudden, the platform and the tools, the migration tools in and out of the platform, the ability to give myself like a Lego board kind of environment, if you will, made that a lot more viable decision for them, because they knew that they're going to be in and out of the software. They're going to be building integrations and throwing away integrations. So a lot of build and throw away. And I just need to be able to move the parts a lot easier. So that became a larger part of the decision for this particular client. And I think with Microsoft, that's probably another element they bring to the table, is that I'm bringing that architect, that infrastructure, that level with tool sets that might help me migrate as I move forward on this path.